Hi, my name's John Keel, and today for my project, I'm going to take you guys through a simple lockout tagout scenario hope, in hopes to give you a better understanding of lockout tagout and how this relates to me in my everyday job. Is I'm a maintenance supervisor, so the guys who work for me use this every day, so I need to be able to identify any potential issues with it or anything that might come up that they have questions about. So um, today, this is just your standard 200 amp uh, breaker box. So the scenario I'm going to use is changing out a light fixture in my garage. So the first thing I would do is first you need to open up the box, and normal panels have labels on them. It tells you what all the individual breakers are actually for. Some are labeled in the doors, but all the breakers have numbers on them. So what I would need to do is find what I'm looking for, which would be garage lights, and I know that that is number 27. So first I need to isolate that switch by switching it to the off or open position, like so. And then I need to find the proper lockout tagout device, which is this breaker isolation lock. So need to apply that to the switch. Make sure the orientation of these, you gotta kind of look at them, but they only fit one way, and there's a little hole inside the breaker switch itself that this should lock right in, just like so here, just like that. So fits nice and snug once it's all locked up. And I notice you cannot turn this on with this on here, and in order to keep anybody from turning that on while you're working on the job, you need to put a lock on it. And this one has a very small hole in it, so I have to use a hasp in order to lock it. So apply my hasp. Another thing these hasps are good for, if you have multiple people on the job, you can have multiple locks on here. But for this scenario, it's just me, so I would use my personal lock and this tag, which this one doesn't have it, but ideally it would have my name, my contact information on there. So if somebody is on the same job site as me, they would be able to contact me in order to turn the switch on. So then I apply my lock here on the hasp, lock it, and then in order to ensure that I'm safe, I know that there is one key for that lock. I have the key, so there's no potential of anybody else coming, unlocking it, and potentially injuring me while I'm in a different area working on electrical outlet. Another big part of lockout tagout is the verifications. So I know that I selected the right breaker, but in order to make sure that I do, once I go out there to change the fixture, I need to physically check the terminals on the fixture itself to make sure there's no power. That tells me, that's kind of a double check, and it tells me that yes, I got the right breaker, the circuit's dead, it's okay for me to work on it. So basically, after the job is done, we would reverse ratchets, finish up the work, make sure everything looks good on the job site, come back to the panel, and I would use my key once again. That was in my possession the whole time. Nobody else can open the lock except for me. Take the lock off. Take the hasp off and the lockout tagout device. And then I would be able to turn the breaker back on. And then I can go up and check my work, make sure everything's good. Make sure to always close your panels up, and that's pretty much the gist of lockout tagout. Like I said, this is a pretty simple scenario, but you can get into big machinery and stuff where you could have potentially 10 to 20 different locks on it when you're trying to isolate different sources of energy, such as hydraulic, pneumatic, electrical. Really, there's all sorts of different scenarios you could run into, but lockout tagout is an absolute necessity in order to keep everybody safe, and that's pretty much all of my presentation. Thank you for listening.